Megalodon, the big tooth, the stuff of nightmares if sharks really aren't your cup of tea. Today we talk about how something this monstrously big could have actually existed. Hello! Welcome to Brainspill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and you may have seen that the Megalodon in pop culture has been this big, ferocious, fierce creature that has lived in the depths for hundreds of thousands of years, and may or may not be around today. Yes, whilst I've heard of the Megalodon before, I never actually knew whether this thing existed. I mean, I don't think anyone can say for absolute definite that they're sure it existed, but is the idea of a Megalodon actually existing just a fantasy, or do we actually have evidence to show that, yes, a shark of this size could very well have existed at one point in the past, or maybe even in the present? So I decided to do a little bit of research, and I'm going to let you know what I found out today. And when I say research, it's secondary research. I, of course, am not going down in the ocean depths myself to go and figure out where this thing is. No siree. And let's just get one thing straight. I'm fairly sure, okay, I'm not fairly sure, but, a little bit sure, that the idea of a Megalodon existing today is probably not very likely. Mainly because of the fact that if one did exist, we would probably have found one already. Given how massive these things are. In a way, I'm actually sort of glad that's the case. I would rather not be swimming around in the ocean knowing that one of these things might be out there. Okay, so even if we don't know if they exist now, what I'm asking is, did they ever exist in the past? Well, it's been known that there has been larger shark species in the past, based from fossils alone that we've found throughout pretty much the entirety of history. Pliny the Elder, around 70 AD, believed shark teeth were triangular objects dropped from the sky during lunar eclipses. In the Middle Ages, Europeans thought that they were tongue stones, or petrified stones of snakes or dragons. Megalodon teeth were worn as pendants and even used in medicine. So yeah, these fossils have been found in many different places around the world in different eras and time periods, meaning that, yes, there were likely animals who had teeth this big. And I mean, I don't think this is something that you could pretty much fake, particularly back in the day. So basically, these discoveries identify the fact that there were animals big enough to warrant these teeth. Huge teeth. Teeth bigger than most things we find today. Something perhaps that a Megalodon would have. These things are so large, in fact, that this is a set of reconstructed jaws on display at the National Aquarium in Baltimore, which just goes to show what sort of thing we're looking at here. The teeth alone are scary, but the Megalodon might not even need these if it can just swallow you whole. However, with the fossils turning up previously, this must have meant that the Megalodon was around long before human civilizations were. And you'd be correct, given the fact it is estimated that the Megalodon were real and around approximately 23 to 3.6 million years ago. Yes, whilst it's true we don't actually have a fully intact bone structure of a Megalodon shark, we've managed to get the pieces and fragment them together in some sort of strange jigsaw to try and assume what we think it is like, based on the anatomy of a normal shark, and then putting all the fossils together and trying to make up what a Megalodon could have been and how big it actually was. Which, safe to say, is pretty damn big. However, scientists have been able to piece together what they can and draw some conclusions, which is basically like a great white shark, a basking shark, or a tiger shark, but just bigger, stockier, and beefier. No one's quite sure exactly which shark it's most related to, but we do know one thing, and that they were damn big. And that's all you can say about that. Most estimates of Megalodon's size were inferred from its teeth, with a maximum length of estimates being 14 to 20.3 metres, which is about 46 to 67 foot in length, and with an average length of about 10.5 metres or 34 foot in length. So, with the teeth being some of the only surviving material of a Megalodon that we have to work with, this is a good estimate, and it seems clear that these would have been used to break bone of smaller prey with a biting force which must have been unlike anything else. So yeah, basically what scientists have done is they've used the teeth, which are some of the only remaining fossils that we have to know that the Megalodon were real, or what we believe are the Megalodon, and then basically use that to create a reconstruction of what a Megalodon could have been like. Basically, just on the computer. The only takeaway I have from this is that if one of those things was in the ocean, you know that I'm not going in there. I mean, we weren't really meant for the waters anyway, and with those things out there, I'm just gonna stick on land, thanks. Yes, like I said earlier, these fossils have been found in many places around the world, but the common trend is that they've normally been found in areas where the waters are warmer, which, makes sense because who wants to stick around in some cold Arctic waters, particularly when you're that big? It's very likely the Megalodon would have been roaming around these warm waters for a number of years until they slowed decline in their populations before basically being extinct at some point in the past. But how do we know that? While again we can't be 100% sure, we have a good idea given that we know that there was a period of ice ages and cooling waters which may have impacted the Megalodon heavily. There were also concerns over lowering sea levels and less diversity in their diets of other whale species that may have led to an eventual decline in the Megalodon species. Yeah, that's something to bear in mind. I mean, these guys are massive, meaning that if they were going to eat anything, the only thing that's really going to satisfy a hunger is probably a whale. And there's only so many of them in the ocean, so if the whales were, declining in population themselves, then the Megalodon have less to go around, meaning that their big bulky frames are going to need to get something to sustain themselves. Unfortunately, if it's not there, then that might be the end for old Megalodon. Scientists are pretty confident that whales were being hunted by Megalodon due to the fact that fossilised flipper bones and tail vertebrae of large whales have been found with Megalodon bite marks in them, which suggests that Megalodon would immobilise a target whale before killing it and feeding on it. That's gotta be a nasty way to go. I'm sure that you already probably gathered this by now, but the Megalodon was an apex predator. Nothing in the waters was going to challenge this thing. Perhaps aside from another Megalodon, or the effects of a changing climate which may very well have led to the downfall of such a large and mysterious beast. So yes, to answer the question at the very start of the video, yes, we do believe that the Megalodon actually did exist, but we really don't know when, how big they were, or what happened to them. Yes, we still have an awful lot to learn about these creatures and a lot to figure out about exactly what happened to them. All I know is I'm going to use those points of reference, aka pop culture and Jaws, for my idea of what a Megalodon should have been like. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you've got any ideas for what topics you'd like me to discuss next, let me know down in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. I wonder if there's an area in the world where we've not explored anything in the ocean, where basically there might be some deep, dark cavern down in the very deep levels of the ocean where the Megalodon might still exist. Swimming around and eating whales and whatnot. We can keep the hope alive, people. It might be there. When I say keep the hope alive, I mean they stay down there. I certainly don't want them coming up. But, it would be pretty cool to see if there was one alive today. But I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.